Alright, so let's talk about this fun book here. So this is The School of Good and For Good and Evil, written by Chainani, I think. I don't know, probably butchered that name. It's a it was written first published back in 2013, and this one is the 2018 edition of the paperback. And it's the first book in the series called The School for Good and Evil, and there are currently 6 books, and I do believe it's actually finished. The last one came out in 2020. Netflix is currently making a movie adaptation on this book, so look out for that. But let's figure out if we should read this book at all, or if it should just be like, yeah, let's watch the movie and hope that's good, because yeah. So let's move on to the cover. Alright, so let's talk about the cover here, and I will put up a good cover, but look at this. It's a beautiful cover. So some details I want to highlight is the 2 main characters here in the behind the giant logo. And behind the main characters we have the 2 schools, the School for Good and Evil. And what we can see is kind of the main character we expect to be on the evil school is currently close by the good school, and vice versa. Which hints at already that we're looking at a story that doesn't exactly follow the base storyline. The next thing is we have this huge bridge, like with cliffs on both sides and a river going between. Having read the book, I can tell you it's like the physical difference between the 2 schools, like way of getting across the 2 schools, but you can also see it as the cliff that, separates good and evil, and then the bridge symbolizes the things they have in common. And and also looking at the school logo, it looks like a fancy boarding school. Doesn't look super fancy. We have the 2 different types of swans, same species but different outlook on the world, I guess it could symbolize. So other than that, it doesn't look exceptional. There's some more stuff, but there's a lot in the story, on the cover here, to tell us that we're not looking at a standard blonde girl with a cute smile. She's of course gonna be the good one, and the dark and gloomy one's gonna be the evil. We're probably looking at a, reversal here, which is a great way of conveying it. And also the coloring pops. It's very dark and purpley, but the few colors that makes it stand out. Even the black of one of our main characters looks great. I don't remember her name, but we'll get into that in the next section. Even the black stands out because it's just all purple and white. So even though we have blonde and black as the hair colors, both stands out. So yeah, all in all, great cover. Works well. Eye-catching, symbolizing well. Shows hints of what's gonna happen in the story without spoiling the story. So yeah, I like it. Let's talk about the first section in this book, and that covers the first 4 chapters of the book, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's actually like a good 1/5 of the book. So, the chapters take up quite a lot. And I have to be honest, if I wasn't going to be reviewing this book and work along more with it later on, surprises are in it, I would not have finished it. Because I really dislike this beginning here. Sophie is such an annoying... Sophie is the blonde girl. Is such an annoying character, and I can't see her getting better at all. I get what Chainani is going for. He's trying to make Sophie annoying to read and, going for the reversal that we talked about in the cover, but it's too much for me. It makes me not want to read the book. But as I read more of the book, it does get better. I like Agatha a lot. I think she's wonderful. She's such an endearing character who just wants to go home with her only friend and just live her happy life without people being annoying. And as I read more of the book, it gets better. It leans more and more into the bizarre and surreal humor that I would expect from something like this, where the backside literally, Sophie had waited all her life to be kidnapped. Like, I don't want an ordinary book when it's stuff like that. So yeah, the book is hinting at a much darker story than just kids being kidnapped to join fairy tales, even though that already in itself is really a dark premise. So yeah, this is a book for a younger audience. I do believe Goodreads has it classified as middle school, and early YA-ish, and that's perfectly fine. The book is not deep, it's not subtle about anything, but it's decently entertaining, especially if you like classic fairy tales and just want, a bit more of a change on them and a bit more like imagining you are part of them or could be part of them, kind of like a wish fulfillment like Harry Potter is. It gets the same way, just slightly different and in a slightly more surreal and dark tone. So yeah, so far mixed feelings for the beginning, but let's see how the rest of the book goes. So the next 5 chapters are what I have categorized as the second section in this book, and it encompasses the first classes for both Agatha and Sophie. Why, this book is wild, like wild. I wanted it to do more of the bizarro humor, and I also talked about how dark this book is. It gets wilder from that. It gets more bizarre. It leans more and more into the surreal, bizarro human style, and it's great. I love it. It's fun, and the author Chainani, or however his name is pronounced, is really good at it. He makes really good use of the classical fairy tales and the character from them, just being alumni from the 2 schools. It actually works really well. Everything is it's just so fairy tale-esque, which basically means all problems are very weird and unique, but engaging and fun to talk about at the same time. Now, the book is also super dark with dark undertones. The entire idea, if you aren't a good princess or whatever, if you aren't a good princess, yeah, you'll be trapped in an animal body or killed off as a henchman because you are bad. So I don't know how to describe it. It's just, if you are not good at your classes, it just means you will be a lesser role in a fairy tale. In some cases you can also get kicked out, but so even Sophie and Agatha realize how weird it is in their own ways. So something Chainani is using this darkness into stereotypes. He takes these traditional princesses from Disney and breaks them down to being idiots and not very good role models. And this is done both by showing us with the wishing fish, but Agatha also tells us. And this is both good and bad. Given the audience isn't a 25-year-old white male, I think it's fine that there is some show don't tell, but just the wishing fish I think would have been perfectly fine. Now, something I quickly want to highlight, and let's see if I can find it in this book. So let's take chapter 2. It actually has these small pictures. Let me get them up to the camera. There we go. And they're just they fit in with what's gonna happen. If you look at the picture, you can kind of get an idea where the chapter's gonna go. So the 2 girl stories are both great and interesting, and I can't wait to see how Sophie is gonna be turning to the dark side, while Agatha is learning to be a strong, independent princess who isn't helpless and just wants to protect everyone. Like, how is she gonna balance that out? Because the 2 girls are very different and very unique for their 2 schools, but I can totally see it. And one thing I do want to criticize a lot for this book is action and high pacing in that way. High paced action is not very good. The scene where Agatha is trying to get to the good side, it's really not that fun of a read. Maybe because you're never really in doubt that she will make it to the bridge. Maybe because all the wacky stuff in the book is just so much better. I don't know. All I know is that the book is just better when it's using the surreal fairy tale stuff than when it's going for action packed. I mean, there are some of the surreal, but just the gargoyles shooting fire at her, like, I will never have the gargoyles, I don't know, throw candy bars at her that explodes into hearts that paralyzes her and she'll get sent back to her room or whatever, something wacky or bizarre. I think that would work way better than trying to kill her. I don't know, it's just my opinion. But so far the book is improving a lot, so let's get on to this 3rd section. Alright, so this goes from 9 to 15 of the chapters, so it's a little longer than the 2 other sections, but we'll be fine. Mainly because I forgot to keep track of chapters, because I was reading it. So, I talked about how I could see Sophie turn evil, and I could see Agatha staying good, but I still think they're gonna go there, but I think it's gonna be more nuanced than that. It's not just gonna be a straight up, evil versus good. I think there's gonna be some more grey for this world, so it's more balanced. Also the fact that they both solve the riddle from the headmaster, but in different ways, and in ways that are unique to only them and their situation, is great. At first it kind of felt like Agatha would be solving all the problems and Sophie would just be floating along, complaining. But no, they're both actively trying to solve the problems and are solving them. Now let's talk about names. Agatha, Sophie. If there ever were names that screamed princess and witch, I think it would be their names. And I think Chainani has done a great job selecting those names, and I think it's very much on purpose. Because Sophie just screams modern Disney princess. And Agatha is just... I could totally see an evil witch be named Agatha, but you only know that because of a wiki or whatever. So the fact that he's playing with the opposites and the names and all that, it works great. It just keeps going with this reversal that this book is like leaning into. It also gets more surreal, and I love that. It still has its action moments, but it's by far more surreal than action filled, and that's what I wanted. That's what I talked about before. And I just got track of where I was in the but far more surreal than action filled, and that's perfect to me. There we go. I found my spot in the text I wrote. So I love the underground flower garden lines, the metro-esque thing, the way the history book is meant to be read, and just about everything. I mean, like in the history book, how it tells the story and the underground metro. It's wacky. It's like Alice in Wonderland wacky, and I love it. Everything in this book just seems to be created with the mindset of being over-the-top crazy and surreal, cause then it would fit in a fairy tale. And I suppose Alice in Wonderland is created with the same mindset, or at least that's what I feel. And this book goes for it too, so top notch. I like it. Yeah? I don't know. Okay, yeah, perfect. Let's do this instead. It's easier to see on the camera. Moving on. This goes all the way up to right before the trial by tail challenge thingy. Oh boy, there's some drama in this section. The plan from Agatha and Sophie on how to get Tedros is just funny. Sophie's interpretation on what to flaunt for everyone and the lectures on how to be beautiful never was both funny and how to be beautiful never. You know, because, okay, quickly. So there are these, are there in the back? No. So there's these evers and nevers. So an ever is the princesses and magical cute animals, and the never is a witch. You know, ever happy, never happy. So evers and nevers. And so Sophie creates this how to be beautiful for the nevers, so the students of the evil school. And it's just so funny. It's so wacky because it's just so weird. So yeah, then there's the plan for getting Tedros, which is, you know, by doing by having what's called Agatha help Sophie out. It's funny, and it really leads right into Cockroach College, as they call the nightly studies, which is a great idea if only Sophie could stay awake, you know. But the Cockroach Helper is great. I love it. We also in this section get to see Sophie's true colors, the deceitful, tricking, never she really is. It's getting Tedros to literally try to kiss her. She makes him wait, backstabbing Agatha and ruining their plans. It's just, we get to see, because Agatha spends so much time trying to help Sophie out, trying to, you know, help her get her dream boyfriend and get home, and Sophie's just like, no, I'll play it my way, I'll do it my way, and I'll pretend to follow the plan, but I won't. All in all, I'm excited for the next section where Sophie has to survive for 3 hours in a deadly forest before Tedros can come and help her. I want to see how she's gonna do it, and I want to see if Agatha's gonna help her and how she's gonna do it, because I can't imagine her being allowed to get in, but yeah, we'll see. I didn't realize that most of these sections are about 5 chapters each. Well, they are, and I guess better later than never to realize that, so we'll keep with it. So let's talk about the trial of tales. The way the girls end up helping each other is wonderfully funny. even though the school tried to prevent outside help, it really didn't stop our two heroines. The only thing I never really understood was how Agatha got through the portal, but I can accept it. I can accept whatever. It's fine. I'm actually glad it ended up the way it did. I feared and half hoped, kind of weird, I know, that Sophie and Tedros would get together and the kiss they would share wouldn't be the true love's kiss or whatever. And I'm now certain the true love's kiss is Tedros and Agatha, while Sophie is the evil witch. The last part wasn't a secret in the book, but I feared Sophie and Agatha would stay oblivious for the entire book. I'm not going to talk more about that. Well, maybe I don't remember. Talking of Agatha and Sophie, their character arcs have really kicked in now. Sophie is learning to be evil and wreaking havoc on the school of good on a level that has not been seen in a long time. It's just wonderful. It's fun to read. I love how the teachers of good are in panic mode and confused, while the evil teachers are excited. Like, even the teachers are obviously, on the side for each. Also, the nemesis dreams, I'm certain they're each other's nemesis. Now for Agatha, I think the most amazing thing that happened was her wishing to be beautiful, only for a couple of pages later to realize she already was, and she just needed to let herself be free. It's a book for, girls, and middle school girls especially, so this is a great thing to teach girls, and boys, I suppose too. I mean, it's just, be yourself, most beautiful when you're yourself and when you are happy, so that's who you should be, that's how you should be. So far, this book is really growing on me. It's great, I love it. I'm having fun, let's move on. The final section of this book, and this is also going to be the shortest because I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm going to try to at least. But I'm going to say that it's a perfect ending for me. I just want to say that there are a few things the ending does that I don't think it needed, but on the other hand, I think the overall ending is perfect. That's what I mean by it's a perfect ending, because it's never really perfect, but it gets there. And I think the overall ending fit the book well and the message it's trying to give. I can both see and not see how it's gonna lead up into sequels, because they're not done with their studies, but so chaotic everything that happened, I can't really see how the studies can continue. But that's something for the sequel. And that's about it I have to say for the ending of this book. Let's get to the conclusion. To conclude on this book here, I went into this book with expectations, something like a Harry Potter book mixed with Twilight. I mean, let's be honest, that's girls' school of good and evil, And that wasn't what I got. I got an enchanting story about friendship and overcoming one's flaws. I got a fantastically witty and funny book that managed to make me laugh throughout and trying to guess. The book does take a while to get into though. I still can't stand Sophie in the beginning, but the character arc and Agatha's arc are written at such a level of competence, it's kinda wild. This is a children's/YA book, and it's just such a well-written book. So should you read this book? Absolutely, 100% I think you should. It will remind you that even though you might not look perfect or you've grown up in a dark place, you are who you choose to be, and the world isn't so black and white. If you are or know a girl who struggles with her confidence or self-esteem, you or that person should read this book. It's flawed, the writing isn't perfect, it repeats a lot, it's on the nose about a lot of details, and the reader could figure out itself. But also just keep saying, be you, have fun. The most beautiful you can be is when you are happy. What it means to be good, what it means to be evil, how we need both. There are more books in this series, and I haven't read those yet. But I implore you, at least this one here. Also the Netflix movie series adaptation, I'm kind of in doubt whether it's which one it is, but it's coming out, and with Netflix's track record, stick to the book. But I'm gonna give the Netflix one a shot, because the book is really good, so maybe. Anyways, let's get to the hint for the next review. Prologue. Inavera, 300 AR. Inavera and her brother Soli sat in the sunlight. Each held the frame of a basket between their bare feet, nimbly turning it as their fingers worked the weave. This late in the day, There was only a tiny sliver of shade in the small kiosk. Their mother, Manva, sat there working her own basket. The pile of tough date palm fronds at the center of the ring they formed shrank as they steadily worked. Inevera was 9 years old. Soli was almost twice that, but still young to be wearing the robes of a full Dal Sharum. The black cloth still deep with fresh dye. He had earned them barely a week ago, and sat on a mat to ensure the ever-present dust of the great bazaar did not cling to them. His robe was cinched loosely on top, revealing a smooth muscular chest glistening with sweat. He fanned himself with the front. Everum's balls! Those robes are hot. I wish I could still go out in just a bite though. You may have the shade if you wish, Sharum, Manva said. Soli tisked and shook his head. Is that what you expected? That I would come back in black and start ordering you around like